If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for another edition of the Two Scotch Funk Worldwide Lounge podcast. Tonight, we're going to talk about the last one, briefly, what I learned, what I have to learn, and that the kitchen studio with its toaster and coffee maker is a hit. Seems that the background noise of a refrigerator with a broken ice machine. Yes, it is broken. I have tested it, tried to fix it, to no avail. It seems like the acoustics in here are not offensive, which is the bare minimum of what you want for a podcast. Not offensive, at least in recording quality. We can offend later with words. We're a minute 12 into this thing, and I've already made a mistake. I forgot to lead off by saying thank you. And thank you very much, because the response to the last post, the last podcast, has been tremendous. This is that version, that episode was the number one episode I've ever recorded. I've never had that many plays. And I don't know if it's because it was short and only 10 minutes, or if the planets were in alignment, or everybody was just that bored. But it was the biggest episode I've ever had, so thank you for that. And with that being said, thank you for all the responses, because that's what leads to the information that you're going to hear tonight. In the last post, last episode, I asked this question about grief, and is grief coaching, and its usefulness. Is it something that should be available to people? Is it already is? There's all kinds of grief counseling out there, grief coaches I haven't seen as much of, but I can see the need for that. There's books, there's videos, there's all kinds of stuff that deal with grief. I'm not entering a unique market that is underserved by any stretch. My thought is coming at it in a similar way that I did with the recovery coaching. I want to add that piece of it to the recovery coaching skills that I've built over the last 5-6 years. And it seems like that's important. The responses were significant and plentiful and well thought out. Some of the private messages were incredibly touching. They shared a lot of information that I can't share in the public, and I won't, but it helped me form this idea. So thank you for being brave enough to share those moments and those stories with me in private. I will do my best to honor the requests and the knowledge you gave me, and see if we can't put that in a book form that is useful to you and your loved ones. So we'll work on that too. What we're going to work on is how best to serve. And one of the things that I heard over and over is if you can help just one person, if you can just help with just one person, it's worth it. Well, this little adventure is going to cost thousands of dollars. It's going to take hundreds of hours. Yeah, it's worth it. I got the time. I don't exactly have a very busy social schedule, so why not? Why not put the time to good use? I don't need to sit my fat ass in front of Netflix or whatever streaming service is available. I got all kinds of time to do that later. So right now, well, there's gas in the tank and there's a need. It gives me something to do that's positive. So let's do that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to work on a couple different things. What is loss? What is grief? What is the trauma? What are the responses to each? How do we tell the difference? And more importantly, and this is what I need to do my education on, I need to get some more good stuff because I did this with recovery. How do I know when it's too big for me to refer to a different professional? And then which one? Who do I hand this person off to? That's a big responsibility. And that's why I kind of backed out of recovery coaching, the suicide prevention stuff. And that's why I'm going to do this the very same way. I'm not going to get into one-on-one. I am not going to get into group. I am not going to do any of that stuff. My way to help is through books and podcasts and stuff like this, videos. I'll do my best to help everybody that I can. I don't want to get into that position of one-on-one. I don't have the time or the emotional reserves for such things. It takes a lot out of a person to do that stuff. If you feel what the other person is feeling, and that empathy it's a challenge. So we're going to go with a book and a journal. I'll talk about that in a second. So based on my experience with grief and my limited reading about it over the last couple of years, 5 stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. My experience has not been linear. I have bounced back and forth between all 5 of these things. I know for a fact that I have. You don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, done. You don't hit acceptance. You're like, I finally got all 5 steps done and I feel better. It's not like that. Not that I've found. My goal with this book and the goal with the schooling I'm about to go into is to find out what's next. I want to be able to use some of the things I've learned in AA, some of the things I've learned through my writing and visiting with people in recovery, and find out what's next. Because if I do a good job, and I can tell you, and you'll be able to self-discover that, oh my gosh, I'm in the denial phase. I'm back in there. I want you to be able to be aware and awake, if you want to use that, so that you can see what's happening, feel what's happening, recognize what step you're in, where you are, and make some mental notes, write it down. I'll build a journal for it so that we can use that knowledge to figure out what's next beyond these 5 steps. I think we're always going to visit these 5 steps, regardless of the loss. Is it a pet, a divorce, a breakup, loss of a loved one, loss of a musician that you loved? I mean, all these things are losses, traumas, things we need to address. We shouldn't just leave them be. So the goal is build the stories, tell the stories, put them in the right sections. Because the goal of this book is I'm going to use stories from my experience in this trauma and try to categorize them in a fashion that can demonstrate what happens in each of these phases and give you an example to follow. I mean, that's kind of what a story problem was. That's kind of what our teachers did in grade school when they'd write on the board. Hey, this is what this is. This is what it looks like. Follow this, and you'll know how to do the next one. Right? You do the evens today. Well, there's no answers in the back of the book for the evens. Yeah, that's right. This time there'll be answers for evens and odds. So that's what the next book is going to be about. And yeah, I did say that, the next book. thankfully, I have an enormous amount of smart people around me. I was talking about this idea with a friend on Sunday, and she kind of gave me the virtual, hey, dummy, slap in the face, the nice, polite kind. And said, who are you under contract with to have stop and take the shot done first? Nobody. Why do you have to have that one done first? Why can't you write this one? Well, I already started the other one. So what? When was the last time you wrote about it? So, I'm taking her advice, and we're going to do this book next. I think this one is applicable. My aha moment of why I am an Alpina. It says, do this book next. And to follow one of her most brilliant sayings, just push start. That's why you hear the refrigerator in the background. That's why you hear the echo. It's because I don't have a studio in this house that I'm in, this temporary place, until my new house is done. I won't. And that could be who knows how long yet. It means you get to hear the echo. I will not put bread in the toaster, so you will not have to listen to that. But this is where we are. I can still get the message across. So I am just pushing start. I'm also modifying a very famous saying, the do as I say, not as I do, following her advice. I'm modifying it to do just this, do as I say. I'm going to look in the mirror and do as I say. I am going to stop with the hypocrisy of telling everybody else, oh yeah, it's easy, just do this, and then not do it myself. That's over. On to the next thing, do as I say. The book is going to be chapters and stories about Dad, my adventures. I won't reveal the title yet, but it's a good one, and it's going to be a fun book. It'll be a fun book to read. It'll be a hard book to read at parts, but worth it. If I can help just one person, why not? If you can, you should, right? And it's easy. It's easy to help. I'm going to build it the same way I built the Thawing Man book with accompanying journal that I haven't really talked much about yet because I'm still in process with that as well. And I did go to the print shop and have everything I needed printed today. Yep, we're going to do some old-fashioned stuff. I'm going to build some videos for this guided journal that I made. It's a beautiful journal. It came out really nice. But my promise was once I made the journal, I would do videos to walk people through it. Because how many of us, including myself, have these journals that are half-ass filled, half full, and then on the shelf you think, oh, this next one's pretty, I'll finish that one. That's why I'm doing these videos. The next book, the grief book, will have the same kind of concept. So as I write the book, I'm going to be cognizant of what we talk about in the book. How do I make it work so that we can journal it and kind of work through the 5 stages. We'll get the organization down once I get my giant whiteboard put back on the wall. I'm not going to put it in my bedroom this time. That's just bad form. Lots to talk about. I could keep going for another 12 and a half, but I won't. So, thank you. That's where we're headed. We're writing another book. Stop and Take the Shot is on the shelf for now. By that I mean not bookshelf, but on project shelf. And the next book is coming. It'll be about grief, how we work together to get through it, and learn how to cope with it. It's always going to be there. Let's make it so it's not unbearable. Wrap this up. Thanks again for the record-setting listens on the last podcast. I hope we can do that again, and I hope we keep building. Let me know how I can make this better. Make it worth listening to. Thanks again for everything. Thanks for listening. Stay sturdy, everybody.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.